Welcome to Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Today we have Daniel Stern.
Hello, I'm Daniel Stern, as mentioned previously.
You know, I actually realized your name was like German. So like I had a moment where I realized that your surname was Star in German, and then I was like, oh my God, what did you?
Yeah. It's funny too, because bad post stand-up set conversations with Germans will also they'll pick up on the name thing. Like they'll be like, come up and be like, oh, how funny, man. Like you should change your name to like David Stern, and then it would be like Star of David. You know, like wouldn't that be so funny? And I'm like, no, I don't think that would be funny per se. Like.
Oh, I love Germans. That's such a great suggestion. Wow. Was there something on the Adults Only radar that you felt inspired to talk about, or something crossed your mind last week? So basically, I wanted to say that we had this online show. You brought up this saving period blood story.
Well, I feel like I didn't like. It was like part of a conversation we were having.
It was part of
moon cups.
You didn't just bring it up.
I wasn't just like there was a moment of silence, so I was just like, I've got an anecdote from when I was 18.
Yes, no, I was talking about how excited I am by my menstrual cup and how I can, see how much blood is there. And blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I also love menstrual cups. I think they're fucking rad. I don't know what it is. I honestly like it's. I feel like this is a little bit like stolen glory because it's like not mine, but I feel like or stolen valor. Like it's like one of the coolest things in our house.
It's one of the coolest things in your house.
Yeah. I feel like it's like the one piece of like, it's like I got like a vintage record player. Like, it's just like, this is cool.
When Freddie did this podcast, she talked about how she bought these crystal pleasure wands, right?
Yeah.
And she talked about how how enjoyable it is to actually have something that you find really physically beautiful. That's not a living penis, and putting it inside you. And I was just thinking it would be really cool to like get some really funky menstrual cups. I quite like the menstrual cup that I have because being see-through is quite it makes design sense, so you can see the color of the blood. You can see what's happening, and it's a bit. But I reckon there'd be some cool ones that you could get, like
Wait,
like
yours
funky
is just
yellow.
Clear?
Mine's just like clear. It says Austria on it, so I feel like I'm bleeding on Austria.
Okay, that's good then.
Yeah, right.
I don't want Austria in me.
Yeah, it's her name's Selena Austria. That's the two things that are written on it.
Oh, okay.
And then the rib, like the markings, so you know how many mils you've got. And then that's it. And then there's like the little. Oh, the other thing I want to do, there's a little ring at the bottom of the menstrual cup. And when I first got it, I was like, oh, that's so I can tie like a little ribbon. And now I'm like, that's so I can tie a little ribbon and a cat bell. I want to have a little bell on the end of mine.
Right. Maybe like make it into like a little hand you can shake and. How you doing? Get on out here. There's a lot of fun things you could do with that.
Right. But I also am just
They could
thinking,
make noise.
They could make noise, right?
You got a little, it's like a like a horn, like one of those rubber horns on the like a clown.
I just like the idea of my pussy bell.
Yeah, that's nice.
Ding 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 ding. Like I think that'd be cute.
I saw there's a performance artist in town whose work I really love, and she used to do an act where she's sitting there and she's on a hobby horse, like one of those little rocking horses that kids, like a children's rocking horse. And then at some point after she's further into the piece, she gets up and stands away from it and walks away. And then after a few steps, you see that there's a chain attached to the horse, and then she's pulling it, and like the chain is inside,
inside her.
Yeah. So it's like this sort of like this daring act of strength, and
that's so cool.
And this like fun little twist, and
oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's a Borbula. I forget her last name right now, but yeah, a great local performance artist.
When you remember, let me know, and I'll put a link.
Put a link in there.
Yeah, that's so. I love.
She's done a lot of. She's let me be a part of a couple of things she's done a few years back, and it was some of the coolest stuff I've gotten to do.
I love all of that, like super out there people doing stuff with their bodies, particularly women, and usually stuff involving their vaginas.
Right. Yeah, she did a whole show called, I think it was called the Vagina Show or the Pussy Show. I feel like it was Pussy. I feel like That was the word she would go with. And it was like all of these different artists in this big industrial space doing various things. It was people were wandering around interacting with it. And then I was playing this guy who was trying to organize like the Berlin Penis show or whatever. So I was basically the antagonist, but I was like having people fill out like paperwork to participate and taking surveys. And
that's hilarious.
Yeah. And so, yeah.
Trying to make the penis show.
Right. No, but then she did. No, Dick. It was Dick.
That's much. Yeah, that makes much more sense because then you're also representing.
Yeah, and then it was great because she had done the vagina one and butthole, and then penis, and like no one showed up for the penis show, the Dick show. It was like we were like, that's not really art, is it? It's
not really. Like we've seen enough. We've seen enough of the Dick show. Really, society's done a good job at saturating us with that.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So yeah, so when you talked about the period blood on this online show, you were like, "Oh, you have like adults only." I'd like to do the podcast.
I know. I just want to be podcasting all the time.
Yeah, okay. But then I was like, "Cool, great," and then followed you up like sort of 2 weeks later, and then you're like, "Yeah," and then like 3 days ago, you were like, "Yeah, I don't really like talking about sex."
No. I said I'm uptight about it.
You're upside, okay.
Right? Yeah. Like that's just like a little bit of like self-knowledge. Like we should go into this being like, like I didn't want to say pussy. Like it's like I didn't that's not who I don't I also like I'm in like a long-term monogamous relationship. So
yeah.
And with someone who's like not a like publicly like a comedian or whatever.
Yeah.
Like so, like I can't talk about really my sex life.
No.
As it currently. I mean, one could. I don't feel like that's appropriate.
No, and
I share my sex life with one person in particular, which is so gauche of me.
I totally get that, and yeah, and lots of people on this podcast have not. You can talk about sex and it not be about, I think, your specific partner,
right?
But like being uptight about sex. I feel like since I've done comedy, I've become way more comfortable talking about stuff.
That's good.
Like too comfortable.
Yeah, that's possible. So you can like, there's things. Yeah, I've definitely had that. And like post lockdown, like my filters are way off. I'm like, oh, was that out loud? Yeah. Like I was talking to two playground parent friends, and things come out of my mouth I thought were totally normal. And I see by the look on their face, and I had to literally say out loud, like a crazy person, is that not how people talk? They were like, yeah, that was gross. I'm like, oh, yeah, no, I knew that. Right, yeah, now that you mention it. Yeah, that story had a lot of blood in it.
I started working at this new job a month ago, and I think my colleagues like me, but I think they're also like a bit grossed out by. I think I am way too comfortable just talking about bodily functions or sex or or I just sound like I'm a rapist. I don't know.
Wow. Jesus, that's okay. Well, then they should be uncomfortable. Yeah, no, you're.
No, but like in a like I clearly am not, and obviously I understand consent, but just like the way I'll talk about my sexual needs to them because they're all women. I'm very,
right.
I'm very direct about it, and talking about the men that are. So all my colleagues are females, but we work in a space with lots of men. So the way I talk about.
What do you do?
I work. Sounds like I work at like a zoo. No,
we have the different exhibits. What do you? I shave some of them down.
Oh, I would.
Oh God, that was there's things I can't say. Like I can say now that I can't say in a lot of my life because there's a 4-year-old around, like I mentioned. But like the other day, I like made an offhand remark about. I think I was Skyping with my parents, and I was like, I've kind of given up on like losing weight around my middle. I'm just bulking up my shoulders, because like I can do that. Like I can proportion that out, and like they can look beautiful and round, and I shave them so they're nice and shiny in the summer. and then I was like the other day, and then days later I'm shaving in the bathroom, and my son's like, "Don't forget your shoulders." just like, he listens to everything.
Man, I had a theory about shoulders. Okay, so in Japan, Japan, people don't realize Japan is actually super, super conservative still. Like you see these things about, girls in Tokyo or the Harajuku girls, things like that. And they're
right. If everything you know like about Japan, you've learned on the website Pornhub, you have like probably the wrong idea.
Then you would think, you've got the wrong idea. But
which I don't use that website. But.
No, you just
No, I quit porn.
You quit porn?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I want to go into that.
Except for emergencies.
We're getting onto porn. I've got my that's
right.
going back there. I just wanted to talk about the shoulder thing.
Right, shoulders.
Because I studied Japanese. I majored, like I know Japanese, like I'm not ignorant. When I went there when I was 17, it was like culture shock, but whatever. When I went back there when I was 25 and I was alone, and it was the middle of summer and it gets super humid and hot. And so I was like, I'll just wear my, like a spaghetti strap, dress. Like there's no cleavage.
Right.
I don't really have breasts. And like not that short, thigh, whatever. Like I bend over, like I bend. The looks I got from my exposed shoulders were outrageous. In the middle of Tokyo, the looks I got, it was like they thought that I was selling my body. And those looks, I stopped exposing my shoulders. Now, unfortunately, as I went further south from Tokyo, those looks continued no matter how much I covered my body simply because I was a foreign woman. But I had a theory about the shoulders, and I think that the shoulders are kind of sexual because they're these like hairless, glow. Don't forget to shave, Dad.
That's not everyone's, but okay.
But female shoulders typically are hairless and shiny.
Yeah,
and I think they kind of look like balls, like
interesting.
Like when balls get expanded and they're like they're hottest, and then when they're shaved, I think a shoulder looks like hairless.
What do you think balls do? Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I've seen like excited balls that are kind of like not looking saggy and your face.
No, you're just talking about people you're just talking about teenagers. Like
I'm talking about porn, but
wait. Balls don't become engorged.
They become a little bit engorged. They can absolutely. You get cold balls. You get hot balls.
Okay, they respond to temperature.
Exactly.
Sure.
Exactly.
But that's okay.
Exactly. That they respond to temperature. And so when they're warm and maybe they're in someone's mouth.
The thing is they expand and contract to get further or closer to the body in order to maintain temperature. So like if they're cold, then because you're talking about taut, and then but that's not what happens really because they're with temperature change.
I agree. You need a hand or a mouth.
Yeah, they look like that if someone's squeezing around the base of them or attached to leather harness.
We got there.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
So I think that the shoulder is kind of as sexual as.
I agree that the shoulder. I mean, I've latched on to that because I just need to find some part of my body that I could be like, that's what I'm putting forward.
This is my beautiful part.
Stand. So yeah, like I do, but there is something. There's like an aesthetic there where there's like a roundness, like can be a shininess. Mm-hmm. There's like a simple mechanics to it. It's but there's sort of like, like like the breasts, the buttocks have. There's like this rounded built thing, but it there's a power there as well. Like if it's, I think that's more of maybe on a men's shoulder. But like this is like I think where I ended up with it was someone had posted like a photo of Tony Soprano in like an A shirt, and as like an example of what they were into sexually, and I was like, I can do that. Right?
That's doable for me. I can achieve that.
Yes. And so in the last few years I've had to like try and rethink how to like sexually, like how to be sexually appealing to like to a gaze that's maybe different than would have been when I was younger. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so like what do I, I'm not trying to attract anyone per se, but like I do need to be able to feel that I have something, and it's not going to be what it was when I was 19
Yeah.
or 29.
Yeah, you need to have a role model of
Yeah.
what you think looks sexy, in whatever. Yeah, but like having something like, oh, that's sexy, cool. I can be like that,
Right.
and yeah,
But something that I also like, and so like, but the problem is like, so if you're like there aren't like examples, most examples of like big hairy men that are considered sexy is like for the male gaze only.
yeah,
And that's okay. That's one thing, but like that, then it doesn't really feel like you're
but
represented.
the male gaze is always also what women are looking through, right?
I don't think so. I don't think when it comes, I think that there are, I've been thinking about this today
Okay.
because I don't really buy into like, I don't really believe in heterosexuals that much, especially I don't
What do you mean by that? You don't believe in heterosexuals?
like, I don't think heterosexual men like really exist in our society.
You think men would fuck anything?
It's not just that. I mean, like sexuality to me is like we lump too many things in together. Like when we say like someone's heterosexual, because there's like romantic things. There's like friendship and partnership. There's like what is visually exciting. There's what's physically feels good. There's what makes you uncomfortable or you find repugnant or something. There's like all these different. There's like what you can't do and what you can do.
Yeah.
And like. I think, and then we put gender onto that, and then like that's not necessarily like a piece of genitalia, and it's not necessarily an outward projection, but then there's something where we're like, I like men, I like women, but like you like something, a lot of something that's sort of in this way, and there's probably parts of that you would prefer to not be a woman.
Yes.
Or not be a man, or that doesn't conform, and so like I just think that like. Yeah, that's just not. I don't know how to articulate this exactly because most of the way I've thought about this is as a bit I was doing, where I was just like, I don't want to talk to men, yeah, but like I would blow one, and hypothetically.
That's interesting because it's the opposite for me with women. It's like I can connect really well with some women, but I'm really not like if they can go down on me, like they can go to town on me, but I'm not motivated by their bodies.
Well, okay, I see what you're saying, but there's also like men who'd be like, I'm not going down on her, and they consider themselves heterosexual, and I think
Yeah, those ones do exist. I'm thankful that I don't really meet them.
Yeah, but that's like that was
actually this one
that was like 100% like a normal opinion for a long time. Like the idea that you just like what you did what with your mouth?
Really?
Oh yeah.
I feel like okay, but not since the early 2000s, right?
Right. Yes.
No, yeah, like not since porn really, but even porn hasn't been so much like eat her out. It's just
that doesn't happen.
Well, it does, but it's not. I don't think porn's the reason why men go down on women now.
No, I think it'd be stupid not to.
But it would be stupid not to. But maybe it is only because women had like everyone sees porn and blowjobs are what dominate porn so much, and
really?
So in a relationship setting, a man will always expect a blowjob. So the deal is, if I blow you, you have to go down on me. And so just with the saturation of blowjobs as standard, women have
Quid
gone
pro quo.
like,
Yeah.
I'll blow you, but you have to like it needs to be balanced. It doesn't go one without the other. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think I mean, but like that's I think in terms of like I should say like I don't believe heterosexuality isn't fair because people should be able to define their own. If like a man wants to say he's a heterosexual, he should be allowed to do that. Like it's not totally cool and not PC of me to say that. But like at the same time, like if you look at pornography, like it's very penis focused.
Oh, exactly, and
right?
men are watching that,
and that's for men. And so like and in fact, at this point, if there isn't a penis, it's not even porn, right? It's just naked women. Like that's not even considered pornographic at this point.
No, that's not true.
I mean, by today's standards, like
no, there's like no. It's also
I mean, are you trying to say that there is porn that doesn't have? I understand that there's like.
Porn I know that you know that. There's
but like, I
porn
mean, in terms
without.
of like stuff that's like made for men,
Yes.
like anything without penetrative sex is basically softcore. Like you can see that in an R-rated movie. Like that's not.
Or it's
pornographic.
lesbian because it's like with toys as opposed to a penis.
Right. Or I understand that there's like, but if you look at like minutes watched on one of these websites, like,
and if you look at the comments, which would be like, this is gay, this is soft, this is like,
really?
Yeah. I've seen that because I recently did an ad, like a reaction video for an ethical porn company, and so that means that it's all women run,
right? Yeah,
and yeah, I was looking at on their Twitter account,
just like,
and some of the comments.
Erica Lust, or what was the?
Not Erica Lust. I actually had a date with the guy who subscribes to her.
Okay.
Erica Luster.
I don't know. It's like that's the first thing that came to mind.
Yeah, she's Swedish, right?
I don't really know that much about.
Okay.
I've like Googled like feminist porn.
Yeah.
Well, I Googled, you went to something that doesn't get a Google result. Feminist porn for men. Like, it's just not a category.
It does exist. There's a porn site in Australia, but it's very bushy. Like it's very, and it does feel
bushy as in the Australian bush, or
it's hairy. And I'm all down for hair, but back then when I was looking for it, I wasn't so down for hair. It was like, no, I want to see inside and see what's happening easily.
Doing this for educational purposes.
Yeah, pulling the hair apart. But there aren't that many sites, and but this one anyway. Yeah, just the comments and the kind of the hate from the generic porn consumer is that, yeah, if it's not like some thrashing dick play, then and so that's what men want to see.
Well, yeah, or are used to, or whatever, like. Or I mean, shouldn't take away from it if that's what they're into. I just think, I think it's tough to like, so if you're creating ethical porn and like, once like, I feel like if I'm watching it, it's just like not feminist anymore. Like, I've ruined it.
No, like for example, for me, I'm not interested in watching girl on girl unless like there's some kind of toy that's penetrating them, like, you know, and I don't like the way
no, it's fine.
Yeah, like I'm not interested in just girls eating, like, no, that for me isn't porn. I want to see penetration, and and I don't think that makes it not feminist. And for example,
but you're a woman.
But with this ethical,
this is what I'm saying. I'm saying, like, once I watch it, I feel like I inherently am ruining it.
And that's the issue with the word feminist porn, and that's why this website that I did this commercial for is calling themselves ethical porn,
right. Because
it's not about feminism. It's about ethics of like fair pay and rights, and
right.
And that there's some agency, the actors, and it's what they want to do.
Yeah, I think part of the issue is like people are used to, like, they'll see a movie and they'll be like, oh, a filmmaker made this, it's their vision, I also like it. But they're used to their porn being so specific that you then kind of lose the ability for like the artists or the performers to have like what they want to be doing being what's on film. Yeah. And so that's where I think you run into this thing of like, the thing you want, just, dude, like, you can't make that. Like, there's, you know, unless your friends are making it for you. Like, that's where I feel like that's if I'm not going to run in those circles in this point in my life. But like, if I had like friends who are like made like the way you have a potluck or whatever, like, I feel like that's how people should be making their porn. And
the thing is, amateur porn, like porn companies are apparently now, my stepdad was telling me this because he listens to all my podcasts. Shout out to Charles, love you. He was telling me that because this ethical porn company suggested that I be the face, like that I represent the company for interviews and do their PR work, and he was like, I'm a bit concerned about that, Anna, because the porn industry is really suffering at the moment because everyone prefers amateur porn. I was like, okay, stepdad. And that amateur porn is completely dominating, and it is just your average person doing what kind of they want to do, but in their own settings. And yes, of course, there's still industry coming in there and I guess exploiting people somehow. But by and large, it's couples doing what they want to do, still within this, this obvious kind of industry expectation framework. But
I mean, if you have an OnlyFans, like, whatever percent goes to a credit card and whatever percent goes to that website, and your stuff can still end up somewhere you don't want it. But.
And you're still creating stuff that you think people want, so it's still conforming to standards.
Well, I don't think art. I think the idea that an artist imagines an audience doesn't necessarily mean that they're going away from what they want to make.
It's true.
Which is like, you know.
Hopefully, yeah, it's true.
I mean, it depends on the artist. Like there are artists who are like, I don't care who sees or wants this. If you're ostensibly like putting it on a website which charges money, then it's hard to imagine that you're not considering your audience at all.
Yeah.
But maybe also if you have a niche and you're very successful, then you aren't. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not in that business.
I love the idea that these people are just having the sex that they want to have
Yeah.
for their
Yeah, that sounds
porn
nice.
videos.
That sounds like
Does
something
that really nice?
I mean, I don't know.
So you gave up porn when?
This was years ago now, I think. I was like traveling, like I was in LA and I was like on people's couches or whatever.
Probably good. That you
Right.
quit.
So like I didn't have I mean, I was just like not going to do that.
Were you going to say you didn't have Wi-Fi?
I don't know, like the point is, like, it was like a long enough break that when I like eventually, then, you know, I get back home and then finally get the laptop open and you open up that website and you're like, oh, that's shocking. That is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do, like, I was looking at porn last night, for example, and I don't often access, I find it more enjoyable to create fantasies in my head and like play out a whole situation. And it tells me a lot about where I'm at, what fantasies I come up with. And, I've written some new jokes about it because it's like, oh wow, like I want to reproduce that badly that I'm willing to do that. Like, interesting, Hannah, interesting mix. But I was looking last night. Or anyone that listens to this podcast knows that I use Reddit for porn because it's such high caliber. It's a lot of GIFs, and I don't like to commit to a full video. And a GIF is good. You get to see that one thing again and again.
Yeah.
And I was looking at, and when I do look at porn, there's a real combination of shock. And I think that's part of the enjoyment, being like, oh, and then also being like, like that, like I like being turned on by something almost as quickly as being shocked and a bit grossed out. And there's this weird interplay.
Right.
That's that's at work.
Sure. I mean, I genuinely like, so when I got rid of that, I got very interested in amateur literary erotica.
Oh, that's so cool.
So that's like, for me, like I'm not really interested in like fancy authors writing to like make a you know, to a large audience. What I like is someone who's like clearly like not great with grammar or spelling, might like switch which person, you know, from like first to second person, like halfway through. You can do anything.
No, but like, can you handle reading that?
Yes, because what it says to me is the person who's writing this is because they like it. And like they're not trying to cater to anyone. They're not, you know, they're not acting someone else's script. You know, if they're a performer, they're not directing someone else's, what their producer needs them to do. They're not trying to get downloads or clicks or sell DVDs or whatever. They're like, this is the hottest thing I can clickety clackety imagine. And you're like, wow. Or you're like, oh, that's also a little racist, but like, I can tell it's coming from the heart. And so, and it also like, I probably like when I was, you know, I grew up in a much earlier internet, you know, where we still had to deal with like magazines and things like that. And one of the things, you know, like a lot of my early experiences were like dirty letters they would write in, you know, men pretending to be women kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And, my parents had like Our Bodies Ourselves, which was like one of, I don't want to say seminal, but one of the first, you know, like kind of sex,
a great word, isn't it?
like feminist sort of like body sex things. And like, you know, so that's like what I grew up on. Yeah.
I grew up also, like, we had, my mum was given, she claimed it wasn't hers, but there was some kind of trashy sex romance book that I found when I was like 13,
right,
that I definitely masturbated to. And then there was like Naomi Wolf, you know, like things like that. And that's the stuff. Promiscuities was a book that I read when I was, I think, 14.
Yeah.
And that's
I had like random sci-fi novels that would like have a sex scene in it.
Yeah.
Like the Illuminatus trilogy is like a huge part of who I am as a sexual being.
Oh, okay. I don't know that.
Yeah,
What is it called?
Robert Anton Wilson's, the Illuminatus trilogy. And there's like, you might have one listener who'd be like, I also found that pleasurable to read.
Oh, fascinating. Also, like, I would definitely get off on Jane Austen novels. Like, there's lots of sexual tension in the Austen.
I might have read the Cliff Notes. I was a bad student for a couple of years there.
I dug that stuff. But yeah, also because my brother was the one that always had the internet, and I was never that interested in like fighting for anything. Yeah, at least not for that. Like, it was like,
Right.
oh, I can chat to people or watch porn. Okay, and then he would just show me stuff, and I'd be like, oh my god, yeah, I don't need to use that in my room by myself.
Wait, what did he show you? What did your brother show you?
My brother would show me porn stuff. He'd be like, Anna, check this out. And, like the original video of a woman being fucked by a horse and like probably dying. Or he would show me, we did also the first experiences I had of porn were my brother finding and then telling me about it and taking me and showing me my parents' porn collection. And so there was like a VHS.
Right.
There was VHS, there was sex toys. And
These were probably classic films.
yeah. There was, I remember one video, like one tape, and it was one of those like paper covers, the slips
Were you
of the
sliding?
VHS.
Yeah.
And what was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it had all the little like thumbnails, but bigger than that, of all the different, like they were just really short porn videos, and there were
Okay.
maybe 100 of them. And there was one, and I remember one, it was called Moby Dick. It was this huge penis.
So they didn't have the classics of erotic film. It wasn't like
No, I discovered
Debbie
those
Does
later
Dallas,
with my
like,
ex-husband, like The Devil and Miss Jones. Have you seen that?
Behind the Green Door.
Yeah, or what's the Dolly Does Dan?
Debbie Does Dallas.
Debbie Does Dallas. Dobby
Yeah,
Does Dallas.
I don't think I've seen that.
Close. Yeah, I never saw that either. But The Devil and Miss Jones, that changed my life.
Wow, life changing.
Yeah, that was the cool, like, yeah, she basically gets turned on, doesn't have sex with, isn't penetrated by, but it comes to the touch, like to being touched by a big python.
Oh yeah.
And then also the best double penetration scene ever.
All right.
Ever. She's possessed. Like the whole story is she's possessed by the devil.
Right.
How cool is that?
That's pretty cool. Like, I've never done that.
Very 70s.
Now I feel never been possessed by the devil.
Oh. You wanted to be on, well, we spoke about menstrual blood quite a bit on an online show.
Yes.
You were
Period
like,
blood. Let's kid.
Period blood. You a great story about, because I was lamenting just the sheer waste of this seemingly wonderful product that could be used some other way.
Right.
Every month now that I use a menstrual cup, it's like I'm just collecting this perfect blood. Why do I literally flush it down the toilet, which is when you said
No, because I got introduced to menstrual cups I think well ahead of the curve. It was like 1998, 99.
you were in Portland. So
No. This was the year I lived in Santa Cruz, California. So after I graduated high school, I just like packed all my shit and like drove cross country.
Wow. So you grew up where?
I grew up in Northampton, Massachusetts. No, doesn't ring a bell for you.
Like, it rings a bell, but I would be completely lying if I said that I knew where that was on the map
Well,
or exactly what's associated with it.
So it's associated. Okay, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were invented there.
Oh, cool.
So like that, if that's something that means anything to you,
Donatello, hello.
Is that you're a Donatello
Oh, yeah.
type? All right, that's
Totally
interesting. She wants brains and brawn.
Yes. That's exactly what I want.
Just everything.
Yeah.
He is probably sensitive too.
Right? Because you got to be in touch with your sensitive side to be a real man.
Yeah, and to like carry a stick when like your friends have blades and nunchucks.
Yeah. You want a big stick.
And is that okay? Right.
I actually
there's something there. There's something. Yeah.
He was purple, right?
Yeah, in the cartoon, the original ones, they all they were in black and white, and then they added red. They didn't have the differentiated color bandanas until they sold out to like corporate cartoons,
monsters.
and then they were like, "You need to make this simpler for our American audience." And
Yeah, and for kids, man, we
Yeah.
need colors. Like, I know that Donatello was purple. Like, it's
Yeah.
the way I knew who was winning the fight. Like, how would they just get confused otherwise, right? Weapon, I guess.
Yeah, there's the weapon and their behavior, and you know, I mean, honestly, like the fact that I'm feeling need to be a snob about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is that's doesn't say anything good about me as a person.
Did the song go like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Party On, or did I just blend Wayne's World?
Yeah, right. You're right. That's Teenage Mutant. Teenage Mutant.
Wayne's
Public
World.
Access. Teenage Mutant Public Access. Party on, Wayne. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was Turtles in a Half Shell. Turtle Power.
Want to sing it?
I don't. I mean, you'll get a takedown on your. You know, you can't use unlicensed music on your podcast.
I'm sure your singing is gonna. Okay, all right.
Yeah. So we're known. We got the Ninja Turtles. What else? We're famous. We have a very large lesbian population per capita. So
Massachusetts,
Northampton, my town.
Northampton.
Yeah. If you Google the phrase Lesboville, USA.
It'll be.
Or no, well that was the headline about my town that was in the National Enquirer, which is like a tabloid there. But I think
Lesboville.
it was Lesboville,
That's
USA, in the
amazing.
National Enquirer, and then I think but Wikipedia does, I think, list us or did list us at some time as the lesbian capital of the world or something.
Why? Why is it a capital? Why are there so many lesbians?
Well, we have a couple women's colleges, and then I feel like there's a history. I'm not going to speak to that, but that's just the way it turned out. And I don't know, I feel like Massachusetts, you could just, like, before people were out, they lived with aunts and friends, and that was like a part of life there.
Yeah.
And those I don't know.
Interesting. So it was just a really sort of safe space. Women felt safe.
There.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never. Yeah, I don't know.
Did you have lots of lesbian friends, or was it just something that you were aware of?
Well, most of the time I lived there, I was a child, and no one really sort of like
Did you have lots of aunts?
had expressed sexuality. But yeah, like that's like, you know, you grow up and you just like you think it's normal that the chief of police is a woman and is getting in trouble. Like the big scandal is like she hired her wife to do the website or whatever. Like that's just like
Oh my God. So if women are the police chiefs, then those are the scandals. It's not like, oh, we killed the wrong people all the time.
Yeah, I mean, also what I said was maybe ahistorical and sort of not entirely factual. So like yeah.
But that was the impression that you had growing up there, and I think that's all that's important.
Yeah. Or that's the narrative I've made as an adult about it. But yeah, I mean, so it's like.
So
Yeah, it's like a normal part of life. Like my first bar job was like in the fun local gay bar. Like,
and by gay bar, was that a gay bar, like a truly universal gay bar, or because I think in so many places a gay bar is just for men.
right. So the town's like 30,000. So you know you can't be like totally exclusive. But basically the way it worked was like weekends were for the boys, more or less. And like Wednesday night, it was like the pool table was free and there was Melissa Etheridge on the jukebox and like, you know, like I think probably made like chili. I don't know. And then.
Yeah, it would be like one lesbo night a week and then the weekend would be for the boys.
Right. Or like it's sort of like
well.
it's a mixed crowd. And then eventually like there's like, I don't know, we had a drag show once a week.
That's a great job.
Yeah. I was 18. And
Wild.
That was like, that's what I thought working in bars was like. That's how I ended up doing it for the next 15 years. Cause I was just like, this is a good life.
Oh my God. You must have had so much fun.
I did. That was a fun summer. That was
Yeah.
a super fun summer.
Yeah. Fuck.
There were like, you're getting tipped in Batmans and, you know.
By Batman's, are you referring to, for me, I hear a Batman, I think of an ecstasy pill.
Yeah, exactly. I can't remember if they were actual, like if that's what it was, but I feel like that was at the time, like something that's going around.
I had a very good Batman, like just a few years ago. So
Oh, that sounds great. I didn't think that people still took ecstasy, like pills like that.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was all just like you would get MDA as like a crystal or a powder, and then like
No, pills are still quite big in Germany.
Okay.
And they got bigger. They get bigger and bigger. It seems like
the physical size of them.
The physical size. Like these days, you cannot take a full pill, and if you take a full, like you can, but if you take a full pill, you are super like overwhelmed. Like it is
Right.
like there's no, it's like a full thing, and so usually you don't take no more than a half. And I got
Okay.
to the point in Berlin, I stopped taking hard drugs. Let's say 2 years ago, but like the occasional dabble. But
Right.
the pills that I was taking 2-3 years ago, I would just have a quarter, and that would
Oh my gosh.
yeah, and that would like it wouldn't give you that crazy like peaking high, but that would seriously affect you. Yeah.
What's the stuff? I mean, because this stuff is like dirt. It's a dirty drug. You don't. I mean, you kind of like.
You just don't know what's in it because they
Right.
can put anything in it, and that's what's fun about a pill because it's like go on a ride. And
It's Überraschungs.
oh, they call them Tyler as well here. They like German youth. Yeah, I'm not one of them. Call them Tyler because they're so big you share them, right?
Oh,
Yeah.
That's sort of fun. It's like a
Yeah.
Kit Kat bar.
Yeah. Exactly.
Kit Kat bar for the Kit Kat Club.
Yeah. Have a break. Get fucked up.
Yeah. So I mean, that was the thing is when you worked there, you could see what everyone was on, and then you could go ask the drug dealer like, what's Steve taking? Because that's what I want to do. He's like, oh, then you do because you see someone else like slumped over. I'm like, I am not in the mood for that much heroin in my pill tonight. But
Right?
that looks speedy. So
Like heroin pills, that's the thing. Like whenever people ask me, Anna, have you had heroin? It's like not intentionally, but I've definitely had smacky pills.
Yeah.
100%. Like where I have, had that whole like slowing down and really sort of sleepy, out of control vibe. Not particularly fun.
right.
Opioid vibes. Have you had heroin?
No, just no. I have not, like you said, not intentionally, but I mean, the Supermans were not, or what is it? There was the Mercedes. I don't, Mitsubishi's. That's what it was.
Mitsubishi, that was the bad one. That was the you die or you end up in hospital, right?
Right. No,
The red Mitsubishis, I remember in Australia were the ones.
I don't think we're in the same supply chain. Probably,
Okay.
right?
No, we were probably. You're 10 years. No, you're like 7 years older than me.
Yeah, and also like geographical antipodes, right?
Yeah, but there was some crossovers. I think people were communicating across the world about what they were making.
Yeah. It's
I think so. I can't remember the pills that were like. I remember having omegas back when I was like 22. They were the smacky ones. They were
Okay.
blue omegas. They had the omega sign.
Yeah.
I remember that. I was like, never again. But I don't really recall the other pills. Like I remember the other ones in Berlin. They were like Minions and Coke bottles and fuck Nazis.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was some cool. At Berghain, I had a Berghain pill once. It had the little Berghain like building on it.
Oh, not the Berghain logo. The like.
Was it the logo? Was it the? No, it was the logo. You're right. I took a photo. It's somewhere.
That's good. That's a good keepsake. Yeah. That's something to show your grandkids.
Right? This is how cool I was.
That is actually something to show your grandkids. That's oh, please do that.
Yeah, I'll make
Back
a
that
little,
up. Get a hard copy. Whatever you have to do.
Yeah, make a little like water like bath book. Like
Oh yeah.
yeah, a squidgy book that they can take into the bath and have little like mementos from my youth. Pass it on. I love how I've already asked you if you've taken heroin. That's great. So that you had quite a wild straight out of sort of college or high school or whatever you call it in the States, if that's where you started.
I don't think it was. No, I don't. Maybe for like that couple months that was my summer job. I don't think it wasn't that wild. It was still like kind of a family business, or at least it was like a little like the people who worked there took care of each other, and it wasn't. It was less. I mean, okay, it was. I know people who had summer jobs like working as an accountant, and like so
My whole body,
yeah.
like I'm sorry, guys, that's just not my idea of time well spent.
Yeah, so that was certainly fun. Yeah.
Okay.
I like I worked different jobs or two. Like I think like for what they tried to have me work, they would always have like the new guy be on the dance floor looking for under it because they had I think it was 18 plus or something. There's wristbands for people who could drink, so it must have been 18 plus and 21 to drink, and you were supposed to be out there like undercover trying to bust people for having a drink in their hand without a wristband, I guess.
Wow.
And I got pulled from that immediately. They were like, you dance like a narc. Like, you're not. Like, you can't.
That's like
Now, in retrospect, like that's what happened. That's what I was told. Like that, like I did it a little bit. I think I might have not been actually there to bust underage drinkers. I might have been a go-go boy.
You were having too much fun.
No. I think they were like, let's get Dan out on the dance, because I was a cute guy. But they weren't gonna. Like, I don't know if they were like, "Hey, will you be a go-go boy?" I would have been like, "No, I don't think that's like what I want to do for a living." But they were like, Can you go bust people? Can you work security undercover?" And I was like, "Sure." Dun, 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 dun. Do you believe in life after love? That was the song. That was one of the hit songs of the summer.
Oh, I bet it was.
Yeah, it's a great summer to the tunes. We had that and the Scrubs.
Oh, no Scrubs.
No Scrubs, you're right.
Great song.
No, the theme song from Scrubs. What's this No Scrubs you're talking about? That's a classic sitcom.
You need Scrubs. You can't operate otherwise.
Yeah, and then they moved me to the door.
And then they moved you to yeah. So when
I was a door guy.
I had my bar journey. I always wanted to work in a bar, but I started working in a hotel when I was 16, and they didn't realize that I was 16. They were paying me according to my mother's birth date because I'd messed up the employment form. So I was getting paid as a 40-year-old when I was 16 years old. And they had me working the bar by myself.
The system there was you get like wages based on how old you are?
Yes. So I was earning on a Sunday $18 per hour, and when they found out that I just turned 18, they were like, "Oh, Anna, we've been paying you. We had the wrong date." It's like, I've been employed here for 2 years. How did you not know that I wasn't 40? Like, right. I'm clearly very young. And they told me, no, you should only be receiving $12 an hour. So, you know.
Were you just like Benjamin Buttoning? Is that?
Yeah.
You signed up there like, she's definitely 40.
She's definitely. No, they just didn't. They didn't. It was just, one of those system errors. They just got the employment form, punched in the numbers, and boom, that's how much I was earning. But so I started working at a hotel bar when I was 16 and was behind the bar and doing all that stuff. But it took me then I did baristering stuff, and it took me till I basically was in my last year of university. So when I was 21, to actually be properly behind a cocktail bar. And doing all of that stuff and having a very wild time using the powder room for powders. And there was a love room, the Love Lounge. This was a cocktail jazz nightclub.
What the fuck?
Yeah, we had a love lounge. So it was like all these dark corners with a love heart shaped couch in the middle. And nasty stuff would go on there. And that's was
disgusting.
It was disgusting. It really was. It was like, don't sit.
What was the name of this place?
It was called Kitten Club.
Okay, right.
Yeah, Tony Starr's Kitten Club.
Tony Starr.
Double R.
Is Tony Starr an actual person?
Yeah, apparently he was some guy from New York, and he had some outpost in Melbourne. Yeah, and then it got bought by my friend who was the owner, and it was one of the top 10 cocktail bars in Melbourne for several years. So we got some very, very nice talent from Scotland. Shout out to Steve Martin and some other places. And it would be wild. We would have jazz bands play upstairs near the Love Lounge. And it was really and a restaurant as well. And so several floors, and yeah, I had some crazy wild times there. Lock-ins and regular customers who would just buy us bottles of Patron tequila and take us for whatever drugs we wanted. And yeah, this was my last year of university, so it was amazing that I finished and did how I did, actually.
You kept your grades up?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
You can do that when you're 21. You can have it all.
I did it. I don't know how I was working 30 hours a week, getting fucked up at least 3 nights a week, and still going to all my classes and doing all my assignments. It's unbelievable.
It's youthful metabolism.
Yeah, right. Thank God for it, huh? Thank God. So did you go to university and
yeah. After I took it. I didn't go out of high school. I took that year off, and then I went to school in Boston.
Cool.
For a few years. I studied philosophy. I did a minor in video production. So
That's so
got it covered.
And a minor. Well, yeah, mine's like yours. Mine's equally laughable. Like Japanese, Italian, and a minor in politics.
I mean, a language you could still learning a foreign language or adding extra languages to your vocabulary increases the number of people you can talk to. Studying philosophy decreases it.
Sure. People just shut off.
I was done too. By the end, I was like, you know what? I've done this for a few years, and what I figured out is that thinking is stupid, and I don't want to do it anymore.
So now I need to expand my video production skills.
Yeah. I mean, a remarkably high number of my peers from those days stayed in the philosophy business and are like doing it.
The philososophy business. Yeah, that's what they call it, huh?
The brain industry. The thinking industry, not brains.
Not brain.
Mind, mind, brain.
What are they doing? Like,
there's like a couple professors.
Okay, respect.
Steve is he works in finance, but like as a journalist.
Martin?
No, a different Steve. Steve, who was like our German exchange student, and then which was cool because he could read the stuff we were reading in the original language, and that was kind of fun.
Sure, and there's some good German, like Nietzsche, and Freud, and others.
Yeah, and it was So he was a good buddy.
Jung. He was
Yeah. It was fun. It was like my first German too. Your
first German.
Years later, I would. Well, it was like there's things you start learning. Like we went to this great little Italian restaurant down in the south end there. They had this clams it doesn't matter.
Okay.
I literally have lost the ability to talk to other human beings.
Vongole is clams in Italian.
I know. That's why I said clams.
You were like clams vongole.
Yeah, I was like clams. It's what they did. Oh, did you think that was I was misspoke? No, they put clams into clams, and that was their dish, and that's why they were famous for it. It was
clams vongole.
Yeah.
Buon appetito.
But I think I stopped because I couldn't remember if I had gotten there if I'd had like the clams with pasta or if they had just had the clams dish that I went for and they would dip the bread in. Like I actually can't remember, but I remember clams. The point is we went there and he like snapped at the waiter as like a normal way of communicating to a waiter if you grew up where he did, and then our whole table was like, no.
Oh my God,
and like the waiter turned around and we're like, he's German. And he's like, what did I do? I just snapped to get his attention as any normal human being would.
Never.
Yeah. So then, and then I ran into him years later here, and yeah.
You ran into him?
Oh yeah.
By accident?
I don't know if it was entirely by accident, but I'm sure we like social media. Like, he accidentally clicked on my Facebook page.
Yeah.
But then I see his brother all the time.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What was the time difference between your first German and seeing your first German in Germany?
20 years.
Wow.
Is that right? That can't be right. No, less than that. Because I used to be 20.
Yeah.
So 10 years.
10. Difference. Okay. My first German was my first like love. His girlfriend before me was from Hamburg, and she was a German exchange student, and I hated her. I hated the concept of her, and so I hated Germany for a long time.
Wait. I don't understand. She was a German exchange student.
Yeah. I never met her. She was just the first German I ever knew about after Hitler. But
your first love was also German?
No. He was just Australian.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, two Germans went to Melbourne, and then what?
I fell in love. No, my first boyfriend.
They were siblings. If that makes it any more, okay. Twins.
German? My first boyfriend in Australia, Australian guy, his girlfriend before me, who he was super like obsessed, but he'd gotten over her, but it was like the love of his life before me. She was from Hamburg, and that just turned me against Germans for a very long time.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I came in with a chip on my shoulder too. It was more like Holocaust than like.
Right. I already had Hitler.
I mean, obviously yours is more personal.
No sense whatsoever. And then I really didn't meet any Germans. I never really met any Germans in Australia. Like, yes, I guess they were around, but not really. Like they never touched my life really. And it was only because So why did you move to Berlin?
My wife got a job here.
Uh-huh.
And so we're going to be here for like a year or two, and then we just
stayed.
We just kept living in Berlin forever, never admitting that this is our home.
Yeah, okay. I moved here with I sold and got rid of everything I had in Australia, like a whole life, packed it all down into boxes, gave it away, sold whatever people would give me within sort of 5 months. And yeah, came over here with no visa, pretty much no language, 2 suitcases and nothing else behind me.
Right.
And I was like, Berlin, this is my home.
So does that answer your question about period blood?
Yeah, totally. What did you tell me? What did you tell me on that online show?
Yeah, so it was I got introduced to circle back around. It was in Santa Cruz, 1998 or 99.
Santa Cruz.
I got introduced to the Moon Cup, I believe is what it was called at the time.
What did it like? How does it differ to the current?
To be honest, I don't know that I saw it.
Okay.
Because I don't recall. I mean, I just don't think it was like left out on the bathroom counter, and certainly while she was using it, I wouldn't have seen it.
Certainly, unless it's like she ever emptied it out whilst in front of you.
Yeah.
And
then
no.
And I also I'm not sure. Like this is now a ways back. I can't remember if it was hers or a friend's, but I'm sure when I said it on stage, I was like, it was hers, because you just like make your story simpler. You're not like my roommate had a friend who had a friend who had this thing, and then blah, blah. So the point is, someone had a moon cup, and then to go with it, a moon jar, where the so that she wouldn't have to throw out her period blood down the toilet.
Down the toilet.
And I feel like I like, again, like if I want to do justice to the story and not tell it as an on stage version, I feel like there was like something else in the jar too, like clay or dirt that would like absorb it maybe.
This is getting way witchier.
I can't. Yeah, that's the thing, is like it was eventually gonna like make a thing that would be planted or grown or like put to some secondary use. Oh, wow. But like I the details are like, all I remember is like it would go into a jar and not be thrown out, because it was something that was like, yeah, had some utility or sacred value, or I can't remember if it was like, yeah, like a biodynamic farming or like straight up witchcraft or like, I don't know, just like a lucky keepsake, you know.
Like, I always like to keep my
I don't know, like just stuff. I
close.
get that. Like, you know what I've been really getting upset about wasting is the lint from my dryer.
I thought you were going to say from your belly button. No.
That is...
It's so annoying when I take it out and then I just have to put it in the bin.
You know, I got a deep, hairy belly button, so I collect a lot. I wear cotton, you know. That's not even... No, but like there's all that lint in your dryer, and I feel like there's got to be some use for this. This is like a resource.
You could make felt from it,
I think you could make felt, or like if we all collected it, it's like a biofuel of some kind.
Yeah,
it just feels like...
burning, but yeah.
I don't know. It just seems like it's there for the taking, and someone should be using it. Maybe it's me, but
I think you should get a lint jar.
I've been playing with it, and I said this in front of my kid, and then like he also was like, "Why are we throwing all that good stuff?" And
your kid's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, why are we wasting that good stuff?
Yeah, you just say something out loud to yourself. Like you might be like doing your laundry, be like, "Man, why am I throwing all this stuff out?" And then that just goes away into the air. But I'll say it, and then some 4-year-old is like, "Yeah, why are we doing that?"
Dad's got a great idea.
Yeah, actually, my dad's a genius, guys.
That's amazing. I hope you do get like a little box. Just get a bucket next to your washing machine and start collecting it.
I want to have like a game plan, because and then I worry like, 'cause sometimes it comes out, it can be still a little bit damp, and I gotta like put it in the dryer again or something.
You've really thought about this. Is amazing.
I have like a 3-stage filter system. So then I've thought about like, maybe I want to use like the fine stuff differently than the thick stuff. Like, and I just feel like there's like an answer. Like someone's like, "Oh yeah, use it to make a pillow."
Have you Googled it?
No, like that does
okay, we're not there
seem
yet.
like an obvious solution to my existential angst about my lint.
Or even just like Pinterest. I don't know. There's got to be something.
Right, yeah. That'll come up. Yeah, you'd think. I Googled something the other day, did not get the answer.
Yeah, that happens to me all the time.
It does? What was the last thing you Googled and couldn't get an answer on?
Oh, what was it? I Google things all the time and I don't get... I can't think of it right now. But the question that came to me with this lint story is, are you a hoarder? Like, do you like to keep lots of stuff?
No.
No?
Well, It's I have some like I there's a lot of things I love to get rid of. I hate owning. I don't like to get things.
Yeah.
And maybe that's partially because it's hard to get rid of them once I have them. But there's certain things like I hate keeping books that I've read.
Oh yeah, I benefited from a book
Oh
of
yeah,
yours.
you got a free book. I don't think I read that one.
You didn't read it? You didn't read it?
I don't think so.
Bukowski's Post Office?
Oh, that one I did read a lot of,
Okay.
I think.
Yeah.
And or it's some Bukowski, who maybe it wasn't that one.
Yeah.
I read that. I read that one.
Okay, we'll say you read it.
I did. No, that one I definitively will say I did read that.
But you don't like keeping books. Yeah, I like since I moved to Berlin with the 2 suitcases, I have a lot of books. Like each time I've moved, I'm like, God damn, I got a few books already. Like I moved here with 11 books, and that was it. And
wow,
then,
and now you have 13. Wow, how long did that take you?
Yeah, but I've said recently to myself and other people, I will know that I have fully settled down when I have a record player again and vinyls, because they are the most annoying thing to to move house with.
This was last summer I bought a record player.
Ah, you did it.
Yeah.
I'm so jealous.
And I had that
miss
thing.
it.
I was like, I'm waiting for my next move. When I move into my next place is when I'll buy a record player.
Yeah.
And then it was like lockdown, and I was like having my like birthday blues, and I was just like, I'm getting a record player.
Getting a record player. I don't care anymore.
And and that's been great.
Oh, man,
It's
I miss
really-
it. I just miss the sound of vinyl, and I miss like the process of looking through. There's something really meditative and
Listening to a whole album instead of like skipping this song, going to that playlist, repeating whatever, like just listening to the album.
so good.
And it's a really great too, like when I'm listening with the kid, because again, like there's no digital interface, like it's this linear record player, so he can do it himself. Like he's been able to do it since I got it. Like go put the record on, hit play, and like, you know, go turn on the speakers. And so yeah, now like that, and then it just like, instead of like having to like decide what song you want to listen to from the infinite variety of all music ever created,
right?
you're
No
just
pressure.
like, yeah.
No pressure.
I have 40 options, and that's just like, that's it, maybe.
I love it. And yeah, I've got really fun memories. Like I've also got a bit of trauma, but fun memories of my dad's record collection. He had a huge one, and I inherited a lot of those after the divorce, when Dad was like, I don't want to go through them, just let your mum keep them. And then and I got them because my mum was like, that's not my stuff.
What was the collection?
There was lots of stuff. It was lots of stuff from like there was, and they're all gone now. They're all gone, but it's like there was all sorts of stuff like Aretha Franklin and Bowie, and Dad, you know, there was some Beatles, Talking Heads, you know, all like a bunch of stuff.
You're just describing my record collection. Weird. I'm your dad. Oh no.
You're also me. Like it's also my favorite records. But I was on a date recently, and it's great. The last couple of guys have all had record players and have all been like, here's my record collection. I'm like, great. This is what I miss the most. So anyway, like going.
You're like, Dad.
Daddy. I'll sit on your lap.
No, subconsciously.
Not even. No, because I had records like without my father. Like my dad wasn't around for a while. So
Okay, right.
he left.
I love that, like, my suggesting that you're trying to replace your dad with other men who, you know, and you're like, no, I'm not trying to do that. My dad was never even around. It's like, right. Yeah, that's not how it works.
No, I had a great stepfather, and he is the father figure. But I meant my connection with records was very much like
It's yours.
It's mine.
Yes,
it's mine.
yes,
When
I'm
when
sorry.
my first full-time job, when I I graduated university at 21.
This is your third first full-time job so far you've told me about.
No, my first full-time, first full-time job, I was working at an insurance company. My parents were like, my mum worked at this insurance company. She got my brother to work at this insurance company. And she was like, Anna, stop working at that bar, the crazy cocktail lounge bar. You're going to end up dead in the gutter. It got me a job there. And after my first paycheck, I had never had so much money at one time, because I'd used all my time that month being at this fucking boring office. And the first thing I did was bought 2 record players and a mixer with my brother.
Wow.
Yeah, that was the first thing I did. And And then I would like try to learn how to mix, and I'd be like trying to mix Aretha and Bowie and like horrible stuff, but lots of fun. But yeah, I inherited a bit of trauma as well because on these dates recently, it would be like, oh, like, can I, and and be like, can I put it on the record? Do you mind if I touch it? Can I?
Right.
What should I touch? Like acting like a child, but
Right.
I don't want to fuck up someone's record player.
It
Terrifies me. Really scares me.
Good.
And
good.
the records themselves, it's just like around
Right,
the
you
edges,
gotta
around the
hold it just the right
edges.
way. I'm like that with my own records. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like, I don't want to get yelled at. And then my kid touches them. I'm like, you put that fucking. No, I'm not. I don't do that.
I don't know how I'd be with my own kids. I look at my brother. Oh God, I hope my brother doesn't listen to this. I look like because I worked at a kindergarten for 2 years.
Right.
And I love, like, I'm good with kids, like, objectively, like,
Yeah.
I'm really, boundaries.
Some people got
and
it. Yeah.
Having,
Yeah.
super humble, yeah.
No. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to be humble. Yeah.
No.
You're good with kids.
I'm good with kids. But then I look at my brother, and then when I'm with my brother's kids, it's like having your own kids is a totally different thing. Like, having them around you all the time.
Yeah.
You just don't, like, I think, and because they're yours, you have a different set of expectations of their abilities or their, I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's individual, but like, yeah, it's not the same thing. Like being good with other people's kids, being good with your own kids is like, it's a completely different skill set. And it's also like, I don't know where the pressure is higher. I guess it depends on your personality. If like some people, I'm sure, are like, it's my kid, I can do what the fuck I want, and like would be terrified of like messing up someone else's kid. And like some people, I think when you're a parent, you're like, everything I do right now will have significant impact on their future psychology and whether or not they're a useful member of society. And like, should I? I don't know. If I buy this ice cream, is it gonna grow up to be a psycho? I don't know. Like, I mean, some people aren't that neurotic. I don't know.
Are you that neurotic?
I don't know. At times, sure.
At times, yeah. You have moments of.
But there's also times, and I think one of the reasons I like having like other kids come over is I can kind of reset to like children are amazing.
Yeah.
And like they're all, it's great. And whoever they are is great. And, and it's like about them and it's not me and like they're their own people. And,
so that social element gives you a bit of perspective.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know how to articulate it, but yeah, it's healthy for me to be sometimes around like groups of kids or like their friends and things like that.
Yeah.
The playground, just to see like children are great.
Yeah.
Because I think it's easy to get trapped in like, I love kids and I love being around kids. And I think, one of the things that like you see stand up, a lot of men talking about their kids, the trope in stand up is like, it's not like that fun. They're not really celebrating it too much, which is like, something I find distasteful.
Totally. I can't understand. Yeah. I can't think of any, but it does seem to be, I'd say like earlier, like, I don't know, old school comedy. It's men not really talking with joy about having kids. It's more like they're an inconvenience on the side, or like they're not that smart, or, dumb, or I don't know.
I mean,
not so in love with the
Sure.
dynamic.
Yeah, I love my kids, but
yeah, that trope. But you actually ran and I guess intend to continue running a comedy show for parents with children in the audience.
Yeah. Did you do that show?
I didn't. I wanted to, but I worked. I work. So I couldn't take a day off. Well, I could have, but I didn't.
but would not have been worth it financially.
Well, it's like a day, like a holiday day.
Yeah.
To do a comedy show is a little bit of a stretch.
Yeah, that was a fun show. I mean, it was for the parents. I was like, the description of the show was, if your kids can understand what I'm saying, don't bring them. Like,
yeah. I really wanted to do it because I wanted to do my filthiest material.
Yeah.
And like be looking into the eyes of babies.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. So like, I feel like it was interesting. Some people really responded by being like, well, I think my goal today is to say fuck as many times as possible. Yeah. I'm like, I've seen you perform for adults and that's not what you're like. And there's people who just straight up did their material and like, the audiences were pretty open-minded about that.
Yeah.
But it's like, at some point I'm like, if you say fuck one more time, that will be this kid's first word. Like,
Yeah, I'm not. So yeah, I'm not interested in profanity, but
Yeah.
like profanity, what a intense name for. Yeah,
duty caca talk is what
Duty
we call it.
yeah.
My son learned fuck from one of the records.
Oh,
Actually,
do you know which record? Or
Yeah, no. It was I bought H2O's, I think, second. I don't know. They're like a early '90s hardcore band. And they talk. They such foul mouths on those boys. And yeah, that's definitely like how. I mean, he'd heard it around or whatever, but that's when he was like, I think I need to start saying this sometimes.
Yeah, like this is cool.
'Cause it was without a doubt his favorite album for months. Like that was like he just went from like it was like the White Album to that.
Oh, the White Album, what a fucking great album. But then to H2O, okay.
Yeah, now I sort of weaned him off of that
Yeah.
into other
Of
stuff.
of H2O.
Off of H2O. It's not like his number one. That's one crazy thing, like you mentioned, like, you know, the records you were talking about, and you get this thing where it's just like the box starts filling up with men really quickly.
Yeah, it's so fast.
To the point where, you know, then it's like I have to like start making a conscious effort to like. I mean, first of all, when he was like 2 or whatever, started getting obsessed with the Beatles. We told him that Yoko was one of the Beatles. Because I was just like,
cool.
I'm just like, because I'm like, otherwise you just think men make music. So I was like,
that's good.
yeah, we just like gave him a picture with like the 5 of them. I was like, that's the Beatles. We eventually like figured out that wasn't like 100% accurate, but whatever.
My dad wasn't a big fan of Yoko, but like there was a lot of females, like, you know, Tina Turner and
yeah, like we have
Aretha.
an Aretha album.
And,
I bought him Bikini Kill. He loved that.
Okay.
They also use the F word a lot. But he likes any song with the word revolution in it. So like
Janet Jackson.
Chasey Chapman is big in our house too right now. He
Yeah.
just like for some reason that word he thinks is great.
It is a great word. It's so much power.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah, like we had it's like the first Bikini Kill. It's like, we want revolution, girl power now. And he just loves, like, he just like wants to hear the beginning of that record every time.
Oh, that's adorable. Nina Cherry was one of my dad's favorites as well. Fuck yeah, I love that shit. Okay, so this idea of the clay. I was just remembering the putting your menstrual blood into a jar to go and be absorbed by a piece of clay to then be reused somewhere. I
mean, I think it was, you know, it's fine. I think she made the jar herself. That's what I'm also remembering.
Wait, this was a lover
of me?
Yeah.
No.
This was a friend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the way I believe it was a friend of my roommates. But
she wasn't a citizen of Lesboville. This was in Santa Cruz.
Yeah. She was probably a lesbian though.
Okay.
That was kind of the crew I ran with at that. I didn't make a lot of friends while I was there, so I had this group of kids I would hang out with sometimes, and they were all I think, were they Seventh-day Adventists? I can't remember exactly. They were part of some Christian group that like didn't approve of most things.
Okay.
So, and I can't. No. They weren't Seventh-day Adventists. They were not. I feel like a real ignorant asshole. They were not Mormons. They were not Seventh-day Adventists. They were Jehovah's Witnesses. That's it.
Yeah.
But they were like kind of the black sheep. So we would like go to the punk shows and like drink Jaeger, and they would come over to my house because like I had my own place or whatever. So I think some of them were young, or I'm not sure.
That's such an interesting crew to hang with.
Yeah, it was just some kids I felt like I met one time. So like I had that crew, and then people I met at work. I worked at this like import shop kind of place where, you know, like they sell Polynesian jewelry and Mary Jane shoes and like weird crap. You know,
cool.
There was a sketch on Saturday Night Live. You can put your weed in here. Like, I don't know if you remember that.
No,
Soapstone elephants.
Yes, I know the place. In Australia, there was one called Ishka, and they sold all those things. It was just like incense and things to put your weed in, and like kind of like, yeah, not Mary Jane shoes, but they branched out eventually.
Right.
That's interesting. This whole religious, like, were they still part of the church? These people?
I mean, they were young, so they were, you know, like late teens, early 20s, and I think some of them would like go to. I think they don't call it church. Like they go to meetings or groups or because there was partially also like they didn't come out to me about this initially either.
Yeah.
And and this is also a long time ago again. I mean, not that long geologically. But yeah, I the thing like they were like there was a life they led that was still there with their parents, just like anyone who grew up religiously.
Yeah, it's so one of my best friends. My best friend. Bleh. I used to have such a problem with that term, and now I use that term for a lot of people. I'm a bit of a best friend, polygamist, I guess.
How many
best friends?
Best friends do you think you have?
I think I've got three or four.
Are they geographically separate from each other?
Mostly. There's a couple that are in Berlin.
I don't think you can have two.
You can't have it.
Two best friends in the same area code?
Well, one's like the oldest friend I have, and one's the person that's been there for me for like the closest for the last, say, 4 years. So it's like oldest friend.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
You know what I mean? Like,
one is silver and the other gold.
Exactly. One's a girl, one's a boy. One's in Australia. So
all right, I'll allow it.
So okay, great. So my Australian best friend, I met her because she ended up living with me, and she came over for this housemate interview, and we just hit it off. But I opened the front door, she rang the bell, and I was in my last year of my honors. I was studying Dante's Inferno. It was so cool. Yeah, anyway.
Yeah, it's a good book.
It's a great book. That's one of the books I brought to Berlin.
Nice.
That's how much I love it. And
which translation?
Both. It's Italian and which translator?
Oh, yeah.
I forget the name of the
Okay.
translator. But yeah, it's the Jewel. Anyway, I studied it in Italian and had to write papers in Italian. So and I was sort of late running.
Why isn't that your podcast? No, you should stick
Dante's
with the sex thing.
Inferno?
Like it's much. I was like, this is interesting.
So which layer of hell are we in now?
Right.
Which circle, I should say.
Yeah, upside down in the mud, right?
You're Lucifer?
Is that Lucifer? No, it's the people who are like frozen, stuck upside down, their feet sticking out.
Yeah. Oh, you're making me want to get the book out. I used to know because there's 33 verses.
Okay.
Right. 33, like 3 is the magic number. And the different circles of hell. Oh, there's some great diagrams that show how it's actually like 3-dimensionally built. But I think the coolest part of it is just that the center of hell is frozen and Lucifer's actually like completely still, and that's what like the center of hell is. It's like it's not burning fire. Right. It's ice cold immobility. Like that's what true punishment is.
Right. The opposite of life is like static,
stillness and silence. Yeah. So anyway, I was late running to the door to open the door for her, and I opened the door in this flurry, and I was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm studying Dante's Inferno because like the Catholic Church, you've got to know your enemy to really fight it. Like religion." And so take her through the house. We end up having. The interview's supposed to be half an hour. We end up chatting for like an hour and 45 minutes.
And then it turned out she was the Pope's granddaughter.
Exactly.
How embarrassing. Oh my God, I thought we were best friends. Yeah, well, that take it easy on the Catholics.
Well, it turned out towards like an hour, it was like, oh God, like this is crazy. We're having such a good time. I've got an appointment soon, but I was like, but I do have like a dirty secret to tell you. I was like, I gotta let you know I am vegan, and she was like, that's okay. And I'm like, I don't expect you to I don't care. I'm not going to judge you. Like, I won't talk about it. I promise. Like, you won't even know, but just so you know. And she's like, okay, well, I've got a bit of a secret. And I was like, okay, what's that? And she was like, I'm Mormon. And I was like, ooh, tell me about. I was like, I'm so sorry about how I opened the front door. And
wow.
She was like, no, it's cool. Like, she was moving from New Zealand to Australia, and
she was on a mission.
She was she was
a mission here in Melbourne. She's like, I'm gonna go to the kitten club, and I'm gonna convert these wild Australians,
these wild lost women. But she'd already sort of been experimenting, leaving the church. Like, she had been physically intimate with a partner, for example. And things like that. I'm not sure if I think she may have tried alcohol, but she'd never really been drunk. And within 3 months of living with me, she left the church.
She was like, so what's vegan? You're like, well, first you have to drink a bottle of Patron. That's an important part of the diet.
I welcomed her with I got her into it with rosé. I had a friend who was a sommelier, and like we got good wine at home, and I took her out to
Right.
nice restaurants and stuff, and sort of showed her the bar and gastronomy culture a little bit, and then partied and yeah. Yeah, and I never took credit for her leaving the church because
Until now on the podcast.
until she actually said, Anna, I think last time I was in Australia, she said, you're a big part of the reason why I left the church.
I've never had that much effect on anyone.
And even better, now she's a lesbian.
Great.
More Mormon, more woman. Yeah.
But you're not vegan anymore.
No. No, well, at home, I don't buy butter. Okay, except for butter. I pretty much don't buy anything that's not vegan except for, even if I didn't live with people that would eat butter, maybe I wouldn't buy butter. I pretty much am vegan at home, but if people bring eggs or cheese, then I'll eat it. And then if I'm a guest,
What about these chocolate butter cookies on the table?
If
it's junk food, that doesn't count. It's not even really food, so how can it not be vegan?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And if someone's like, "Here, I made pork belly," I'll be like, "Yeah, I'll have a second helping."
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I used to call it Vegas. It's just like vegan, except like there's one letter, and that's just like for times when it's socially socially appropriate.
That's way better than.
So I was like vegan, but I was like a 19-year-old vegan, which means I just survived on like coffee and baklava, and because I was like working at a Middle Eastern restaurant / club, and then but I'd be like, if I'm at like my grandfather's birthday party and he's like, it's roast beef time, I'm like, hell yeah.
Absolutely. And it's also like I believe in that I believe that a vegan diet is more sustainable. I don't feel I can justify the consumption of meat, as in like me buying it and doing it. Like I think the impact chain on the environment and like the treatment of animals, I can't justify that. But if it's given to me or offered to me, I'm also going to enjoy the fact that I am at the top of the food chain and I am at the top of these food processes and this sort of system of exploitation. And as a human, I'm going to enjoy it and I'm not going to fight. I'm tired of. I was quite a militant vegetarian for 10 years and then a vegan for 2 years after that. And then it was just like, I just want to be able to eat when I'm hungry and not be angry that the system doesn't agree with my values.
Right. And now you can just get vegetarian food everywhere. So like now you're screwed.
Well, vegetarian, yes. But when I moved to Berlin, I was like, I'm moving to Berlin because it's really vegan friendly. And then I would be rushing to work when I moved to Berlin. And I was like, the Turkish bakeries are not vegan friendly. I can't get a vegan, like I'm going to get a bread roll and a couscous salad every day. Like, no. Yeah. I want a bit of cheese. Like I wanted some spinach and there's egg in that. There's butter in that. So And then like when I worked at the kindergarten, for example, there was always food for us to eat, but it would be like, I really experienced the full German cuisine, the kitchen, the full menu of traditional German food. And I just ate it every day. Like all the things, like dead grandma. There is a dish called Torte Oma.
What's I don't believe I'm familiar with this. Wow, they were like, you know what, German food's not revolting enough. Let's make sure we put a name on this that makes it seem inedible.
Torte Oma. And it looks like someone's ground up human remains, and it's like this really loose, fleshy cooked meat. It's repulsive.
Gulp.
And I've never seen a German be like, yeah, no, it looks good. Like they're like, ooh, Torte Oma.
Right.
Like they kind of take pride in just how repulsive it is.
Right, of course. Like it's like, only I could prove that I can take over the record player, put on like Demon Barbara Seville, and
just Germans. But yeah, I ate everything. I ate everything every day at that Kita. Give a shit.
Yeah, I've been eating a lot less meat. I'm losing my ability, and one of the hardest places for me is the meat section of the grocery store. That's when it gets grossest to me.
Because it's so cheap.
Well, maybe at your grocery store. Oh my God, cheap. Oh, poor people. No, No, I mean it's probably like I have a bit of a phobia about like plastic, and then it's just
What do
it's
you
all
mean?
laid out there.
You need to what do you mean a bit of a phobia about plastic?
Phobia is way too strong a word. Like nothing clinical. Like I did go through a phase where like I got really upset about having to buy plastic and like throw it out or recycle it or whatever, and like I would do everything I could to like limit the amount of plastics because it's just around forever, right? I mean, it can be to some extent like recycled or whatever, but like you can't. It's there. We made it, and so I would like go.
Seeing the twinkle of crazy.
I know I would go like there's like 5 grocery stores on my neighborhood. I would like, go to each one to buy what I could buy there, like package free or without plastic packaging. So like I would get meat at like the Turkish place because they had a butcher and they would like wrap it up there, and I would buy broccoli from that place because it wasn't in cellophane and
What would they wrap the meat up in?
Like wax paper,
wax paper. Okay.
And so like I was like I fucking lost it on plastic for a while, and one day I was just like, Dan, this is, I mean, you live in a city with like an incredible recycling program, like save it, and then
save your energy around it.
Save your mental health.
Yeah, that too.
I just started spit, so then I couldn't, and then that's like probably when I stopped using deodorant.
What do you use for deodorant?
Excuse me.
It's you. It's you.
Well, for a while I was using this like putty that you would get in like a glass jar.
Yeah, I use a putty.
And then, but I really hated it having it on my fingers, especially when I had like a baby, like because I know it's like natural, but like it's like weird. It gets in there.
But it's once a day that you get it on your fingers.
Yeah, but I didn't like that, and now I've and I also just don't use it that much. It's crazy when you go back to like America and you're like, oh my God, I smell terrible. Like, I smell totally normal for a Berliner, but like there's all these things like at my fashion.
Oh no, you cannot go back to your country of origin dressing like
I don't know when
you are in Berlin.
when you met me, but like there was a time when I had like long hair and like a mustache.
That's when I first met you. Yeah.
And then I think that like it was literally I was like in America and I was like, oh, I can't go anywhere like this. Like they're not gonna let me into the mall. Yeah,
because you would
my
look
clothes,
like
I was like, my clothes are dirty.
Oh yeah, whenever I visit my mum in London, she doesn't know what I dress normally like because I just take the most I don't know. I've started actually, like it's been like a year and a half since I've been able to visit anyone in London, but it is a different wardrobe. You have to take the stuff that's not quite so homeless looking.
Yeah.
Or
nothing
homeless chic is the
like what passes for white on a t-shirt here is like it's crazy.
What passes for acceptable footwear? It's like I feel like on the train, the number of times I'm checking out a guy and then I really focus on the shoes, and then it's always that question of like is he cool or is he homeless?
I saw this guy and he had shoes that he made out of like a torn off bottom of 2 different shoes and like duct tape and like all these different things, and it was literally, and I remember he had this giant, either the biggest scarf I'd ever seen or a blanket that he had wrapped around him. And I've never been so confused as to whether or not someone was like homeless or an artist.
Right.
And then like he was asking for directions from this woman, and like he had some sort of accent. I don't know if I do it, it'll be racist against all of Southern Europe. Like just ambiguously,
I want you
but
to
like
do
he's like I am looking for this place. It is they have so many balloons, and like and she's looking at him like, what? He's like, they float above you, balloons. She's like, yeah, no, I know what a balloon is.
I love it when someone explains the most obvious part of the sentence.
Yeah,
and they're asked what you mean.
And so like he like gets out some tattered paper and she's like, yeah, it's in a couple of stops. And then he's like, he has to sit next to her this is on, of course, the M41, which I wrote over.
Oh, classic.
He has to sit next to her, and she says, "Oh no, I'm waiting for a friend."
On the bus.
It's just such a great line, but he was like, "Fair enough."
Oh, that's so great. Yeah.
Like big scar. I have to say, this was like 2 falls ago when big scarves were really in.
Yeah.
So it was like very like now I'd say homeless. Before, a few years before I was homeless, but at that
very
moment,
ambiguous.
that giant tattered black knit thing.
Yeah.
it could have been like a 4,000 euro scarf.
Yeah. I feel like
He
the
could have found it in a
jackets-
dumpster, and neither of those two things would prove whether or not he was homeless or an artist.
Exactly. I feel like the jackets in the last few seasons have really been like with this idea in mind that you could also use them as sleeping bags. Like all of these big puffer guys, it's like
Yep.
you could keep walking, or you could just sit down under Frankfurter Allers Bridge. Like, you'd be comfortable either way.
Right.
I can't bring myself to buy in those big puffy jackets.
Yeah.
They look too versatile.
Yeah. I'm not a big winter jacket guy in general. I like layers.
I like layers, but I do like I like a winter jacket because it becomes your personality, right? Like it's all you can see in winter of yourself when you're out. It's like you are that jacket.
Yeah.
And so you need to like the jacket.
Well, I think that's maybe the issue is like there's just not a winter jacket that says who I am.
That you've found yet. Maybe it'll come.
I don't think so. I just don't think anything that functional. I'm not a functional person. Like you can't.
That's the thing that annoys me about summer, though. It's like this one dress doesn't say enough about me. It's like it's like
That's why you have tattoos, right?
Yeah, it's true. And it's as soon as I said that, I realized that's why I have tattoos. Do you have tattoos?
No.
None.
I don't.
You're proper.
I had a vision for one. As a
Yeah.
youth, I never quite pulled the trigger, and
People are always I
I
forget.
never felt entitled to them. Right?
You feel like you're.
I never felt entitled to a tattoo.
Why? You didn't feel.
Because I was someone who always like lived in the future and the past and not in the present. And you have to, and so it was like,
That's a tattoo right there.
yeah, like anything I'd ever thought of that I thought would have been a good tattoo, I would look back on and be like, that's dumb. So anything I'm thinking now is probably also dumb. But maybe someday I'll have some amount of self-knowledge to where I could be entitled to having like a decision like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So then it's like, then I could never get there.
Well, you're creating the future in your head, and you're not giving you're closing all these doors.
So now like I want to get a tattoo, but I'm also like, God, that's just like food out of my baby's mouth for like $300.
It is.
It's like I don't. Ugh.
And all that mental like if you want it, it'll come to you. And I always wanted a tattoo, and I did some designs and I had some ideas, and nothing ever was like, yeah, I want to have this permanently in my body. And then it was when I decided to get married, and it was like, oh yeah, let's do I don't want a ring because I don't like the history, like the historical significance of rings. I don't want to be a part of that, but a tattoo would be cool. And so I was like, this is my chance.
Pamela Lee did it, so
Who?
Pam Anderson.
Pamela Lee.
Well, when she was married, it was Pamela Lee, right? They got I think tattoos. I don't know.
Yeah. And I was like, I love him that much that I want it on my body forever.
Right.
But we'll make it so that if it doesn't work out, I'm still going to like the tattoo. So,
Right.
and got this tattoo, which is like the one on my forearm.
Yeah, the one
and-
that just says "I love Steve." That's
yeah, it's
awesome.
like Steve Martin forever. Number 4. But we did it so that like we had our own personal thing as half the tattoo, and then the other half was the symbol for our wedding ring. So, and I got this first tattoo, and it is huge. Like
Yeah,
it is
you
all
jumped
of
right
my
in all the way there.
all of my forearm. And I walked away, and people were like, "Wow!"
I think for the listeners, we should explain that it's just a series of swastikas. and then afterwards though it says in the sort of Simpson style script, it just says not.
Oh, that's horrendous. Yeah, that's exactly what is tattooed on my arm. But then, after that marriage broke down and my heart was destroyed, I then needed to get another tattoo to balance that out,
Right.
obviously. So that's when this one came about, and
Right.
the design for that was quite, natural. It came from like this, it came from this book called Women Who Run with Wolves, which Women Who Run with the Wolves, and it's about it's got a tale about Baba Yaga. It basically dissects fairy tales from around the world and analyzes their meaning in psychotherapeutic, like feminist
Sure.
analytics. Yeah, analytics not quite the right word, but yeah. And it's the house of Baba Yaga, so who's the witch in Polish and Russian folklore. And so her house has chicken feet, of course, and jumps around, and it has all of the symbolism. And so, I felt like that balanced out my wedding ring tattoo, which was,
Right.
it had such a sort of dependency vibe, and like I only had this one, like, no, I have to have one that's all me,
Right.
and like power, and I will have a home again, and love can exist again.
Right.
And then the third tattoo I've got was after a night on LSD, waking up with a breakfast joint,
Delicious.
beer at my ex-boyfriend's his company's collection launch, and they always had a tattoo pop-up guy at all their events. And I was always working the bar at these events. And finally, this was one where I wasn't. I was like, you owe me a fucking tattoo. And so, in that state that I just described, I chose, it's a clam.
Okay.
Clams vongole.
Yeah.
It's a clam with open with fangs and a tongue rolling out.
That's great.
Yeah. So the theme of all my tattoos is basically things that don't exist in this reality. Like
Right.
there's no, they're all kind of like mythical fantasy.
I yeah. Have you shown that tattoo to like a psychiatrist? Because that's what's a clam with teeth, you say?
And a tongue. Yeah. I've had like once I got straight after I got it, like, joint in hand, I was showing the boys, and one of them was like, dude, that looks like you have like some really nasty STDs that you're hiding and somehow divulging through pictures to your lover. Like my vagina's gonna bite you off. What is that term?
Dentata.
Dentata. Mm-hmm. But also
That's very cool.
it's not a very well done tattoo, and it was free. But I really like the messaging that I've sort of attributed to it is that like I always need to keep my mouth open.
Wait, what? I was like, okay, this is gonna get deep. It's like,
No. Have you heard the experience? It's something that I've had on my
you
wall.
switch from nose to mouth breathing.
Very well. Very
It's yogic.
efficiently. It is yogic, but there's a lot of writers have this thing to remind them, and it's sadly at the he form, but he who cannot howl will not find his pack. So like this wolf being able to howl, being able to express yourself.
You can say one.
One who it doesn't have to say. One who cannot howl will not find their pack.
They that do not howl shan't find their pack.
Shan't. Yeah.
If you don't howl.
Yeah.
Well, I feel okay. That you can't. You got to howl to find your pack.
Yeah. So you got to be able to express yourself. You've got to be able to release, your true self out. So
I feel like that's. I mean, for a writer, I guess. Then yes, you have to do that. But for other people, that's not really fair, is it?
for other people,
Like if you want to have a pack but not have to go around like yapping a bunch,
it's
you just kind of want to chill out, like toss some pheromones and like, hey guys,
tossing.
I left out some meat. Paxies.
Paxies. But I think this idea of like being able to be yourself and being able to express yourself, and if you don't feel like you can express yourself, then you're not in the right, you haven't found your community or your people. And so this clam is
That's
like,
the meaning you've described.
like be aggressive and like use like keep expressing yourself. Don't ever stop expressing yourself.
Right.
And be mean
it's also
as well.
good. It's like you said, it's like on your hip or something.
No, it's on my thigh.
It's on your thighs. That's good too, because that way it's like it's okay.
I can
when
show
you.
you. My
Oh,
pants
yeah.
are on. But
Right. Yeah, that is poorly rendered.
also, my skin's very dry, so it's kind of like a bit. It's more of a gray tattoo right now. But you can see it there.
I think that's also good in terms of like screening potential partners, because at some point your pants are gonna come off and you're gonna be like, what do you think of that? And they can they're either gonna be like, that's okay, yeah, or they're gonna be like, that's not for me.
I've had some interesting responses since I've had it. People who are very quick to be like, yeah, that is badly done. Like, Like, you don't have to say shut the fuck up. But it's true. Like, it's a poorly done tattoo. But I love that
No, I think that needs to be poorly done.
Yeah, right.
That's the whole. I don't know. I think the aesthetic of that done too well
is. Yeah.
Somehow that would be pretentious.
Yeah, right. Like the thick lines. I quite like the thick lines and the. Yeah, it's not perfect, but I feel also I can kind of make it like close its mouth. I can with my. I can kind of make it talk. I always wanted a tattoo that could talk.
That's good. Yeah. I once. It's been a long time since I saw people naked that I wasn't married to.
Yeah,
well, outside of a sauna, but I did. I just remembered this woman who had a tattoo, and it was what was the name? I think it was Craig. It was a name that's not beautiful.
Craig.
And it was just like, it was not well rendered, and there was sort of like this like kind of dripping sort of paint sort of thing underneath it, like on her hip, and I was like, I don't think that we're a forever union.
Oh my god. That's amazing. So she had someone else's name tattooed to.
Yeah, her name wasn't Craig. Whatever the name was, I don't remember. It could have been like, it could have been Fred or something. I don't know.
Maybe. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a bit better.
I
Dave.
don't want to say it's Craig.
I'm always against.
I have a good friend named Craig, by the way. It's a good name.
Really?
It just, I mean, it's not.
When you say Craig, how do you spell that?
Craig.
Okay, yeah. In Australia, would pronounce that Craig.
Yeah, but all your vowels are
Okay. But Craig, you've got a good friend called Craig, not married, just not with someone with that tattoo though.
No, I don't. No. He's not married.
I think no one should. I just don't think that lettering should really go. Actually, the boyfriend who organized this free tattoo for me, I quite liked one of his tattoos, which was lettering, and it was on just above his underarm here, that really fleshy gentle part, and it said pizza.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I mean, yeah, it's. Yeah. For a while, I thought
you can't disagree with it.
You can't disagree with pizza. No, I mean. You could, but do you want to be the person who does that?
Exactly.
You can disagree about. I like pizza. It's good. Pizza's good.
Pizza's great.
It's fundamentally. I mean,
it's like if you're gonna write something on your body forever, it's a pretty good word.
And it's got the double Z there, like
which is kind of jazzy.
Yeah, it's a fun way to live.
Yeah, he was fun. All right, let's not talk about my ex. Actually, that's how we first met. It was through Toby Arsalan.
Yeah.
He lived with him. My ex-boyfriend lived with Toby. And the first time we met was at the Dude's Deli, which I ended up managing until it went bankrupt. And there was it was chili cheese comedy. And you and Toby and I think Georg did the first. Or maybe you did the second. I can't remember. We did two of them. It was
me and Toby. I don't think it was Georg. There was like, I think there was God, what was that guy's name? It was a German who, he doesn't do English comedy anymore. And,
Georg.
No, he's, Ben Schmidt, I feel like
Ben
was there.
Schmidt. Oh shoot. Yeah,
was he on that bill?
Maybe. Yeah, that sounds interesting. That sounds familiar. Maybe that's where I first met him because I knew of Ben Schmidt, and then he didn't pop back into my field until he was working for Comedy Central.
Right.
Yeah. And I was like, okay.
How our careers have diverged. Man, I would kill to do chili cheese comedy right now. He's on Comedy Central. Fuck. I headlined that show.
Yeah.
He's on television.
He's writing. He's not on it. Don't worry. He coordinates the writing. I wrote for Comedy Central's a sketch show in January, and he was the coordinator.
Cool.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. So I went from like being a bartender at that show. You were the headliner.
I'm so mad right now. Just for listeners at home, I'm sawing my hand off. With the pen I carry in case I think of a joke.
Is the pen made of plastic?
It's God, good God. Yeah, I remember that set actually.
Yeah, I remember crying with laughter. There was a lot of shots going around as well, but it was hilarious. I think that one, yeah, I remember crying.
It was like post-election, right?
You're pushing my memory now.
Yeah. This was after Hillary lost. And I was like processing that out loud. Mm-hmm. and I remember that was a funny set, and I remember also like 3 American women in the audience just like crying. Oh. And I was just like, you know what? I've got like 95% people crying, 95% laughing, like 3% crying, and like, you know, a couple people fucking hated me, I'm sure. But
that means it's a good show.
I was like, this is the ratio I want from now on.
I love making people cry. From laughter, like from joy,
yeah,
like, you know.
No, they were crying because they were sad about the election. I'm sorry. Did you think I was saying that they were laughing so hard they were crying? No, everyone was laughing. There was a lot of people enjoying the set and laughing, like a fairly normal amount. And there were some people who were crying because they were very upset that Donald Trump had won the election.
Hillary.
So.
Anyway, American politics. Blech.
Yeah, it's nice not having to think about it every day.
Right. It's nice not having people talk about it. Yeah.
Just not have it in the conversation all the time.
Yeah, it's good. I like that we got onto porn. That makes me happy.
Okay, good. Is there anything else? It's fine. You know, I can always just not comment.
Is there anything else?
Kick the mic again.
I don't have any direct question. Like, I didn't think of anything that I was like, I've got this burning question that I want to ask you. I just wanted to see where it went.
All right. I'm glad. Yeah, we got some sort of drugs and some sex in there.
That's what I
don't want people to think I'm some funny daddy.
Fun daddy.
You hear they went on Adults Only. He just talked about his kid. That's explicitly not what he should have done. I don't know why your listener is like a Louisiana belle, but that was kind of like a Georgia. That was a Georgia peach. Oh,
Georgia peach.
Oh, they went on Adults Only.
You should do this accents room.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have anything you want to plug?
I don't know. I have my podcast called Radio Speakoff. We talk about Berlin news in English. It's not explicitly a comedy podcast or anything, but it's if you can't speak German, it's a good way to find out what's going on in town. I did start another podcast last week when I was drunk called Can Chewbacca Dunk?
Oh my God, that's a great name.
Thank you. The problem was, like, by the end of the first episode, we established that Chewbacca could dunk. And, like, I wasn't really sure where to go from there. I was like, is this just going to be about basketball and Star Wars, but always combined? Like, what position would Lando play? Like, I don't know. But this started because I Googled Can Chewbacca dunk, and there just wasn't a straight answer. And then, like, of course, I like posted on Twitter, and like 5 days later, like a German was like, yes, Chewbacca can dunk, and I can prove it.
I love it. But it could be, it's a great name for having a podcast where every week or whenever you have a question, you know, that's like,
right.
That's ridiculous.
Somehow you can't, you need to debate it a little bit. I think there's something there.
Yeah.
I made the logo.
Boom. You got a podcast.
I realized that by the end of it, I was like, I just wanted to talk to a friend. Like,
exactly.
I didn't need to make a podcast. I could have just called someone. So
yeah. On Christmas Day, I ended up having Dragos and Ian as my like family on the 25th. And it was like, how do we make this fun? I was like, let's film it. All right, cool. We'll film it. It was like, it just adds like a different thing to it.
I mean, I've always like socialized over activihaircutting.
Yeah, exactly.
The point was I was supposed to be plugging things. To do that, I just started a business. Stand-up comedy is currently illegal, but haircutting is not. So for $25, you can come in my backyard and I'll cut your hair while I tell you jokes.
That's a great deal.
Yeah, we can chat, whatever. It's a very good deal. You have to I can't do it. I'm pretty good. I'm good. I've cut hair. I've cut some hair.
So it's not in the bathtub anymore. It's in your backyard.
Yeah, I didn't really want to have people in my house.
Okay, that makes sense.
I also like cleanup's easier.
Totally. Compost.
And I was thinking like maybe this would be better if I went to your place because then like you fucking vacuum the hair.
True, but then you couldn't collect it in a jar and see how you could use it later.
That's horrifying.
I'm just imagining your house full of these containers with like, why would you throw this out?
Yeah, with their name and date. Like, I feel like you're imagining my house like it's the opening credits to Seven. Just like
really?
That's what I do for fun.
A bit more light.
I did remove one of my thumbprint the other day, but
not connected.
It was not connected to that. I was making power bites and like chopping the cashews, took off some of my thumb.
Power bites.
And it's not good. I can no longer do that trick where you pull one thumb off. You know, you hide the thumb in your fist and you pull it off to like a kid, and you're like, hey, like it's an uncle thing, because now it's really too easy to differentiate my two thumbs.
That'll change. Don't worry. It'll.
This is scars. I took off a lot of my thumbs.
You took a lot of thumbs off.
Anyway, so yeah, I plugged that haircuts, and I'm Ben Schmidt wants to like let me write for Comedy Central. That'd be
Ben
great.
Schmidt.
If Ben Schmidt listens and wants to give me a job, can I plug him giving me a job?
Yeah, totally.
You know, I was the headliner at Chili Cheese Joke Fart Night.
Yeah, I think
it was called Noxious Fumes. Obnoxious Fumes. There we go. Now it's a pun.
Yeah, very good. Do you have an Instagram or anything?
Yeah, Instagram and Twitter. I am at Daniel and Stern.
That's right.
And I've tweeted twice today, and I have 0 likes so far. So let's jump right on there.
I've got to get onto Twitter.
It's
not. It's just another thing. Oh my god.
I photoshopped Jake Johnson's face over John Turturro's in Miller's Crossing, and then I wrote Nick Miller's Crossing, which is like you have to be a huge fan of the Coen Brothers and the Fox sitcom New Girl to get that. Oh. And that just didn't go viral.
Yeah, crazy.
Yeah.
Crazy that didn't go viral. My God, Daniel. It's been a pleasure.
I have 500 followers and I write for none of them. Pleasure's been mine.
Yeah, it's been really good. All right. Find me on Instagram, guys, please. I need more followers. Clubhouse as well. Always AF Barros. That's been Adults Only Comedy Berlin. Good night.